Hey everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday today and I'm here with a technique for you. It's been kind of a cloudy day, but my husband and I went out for a walk and it was actually still a little bit of snow in the air. I think it stopped, so that's a good thing. We don't want the snow. So anyway, it was cold enough to snow, but it's probably going to turn to rain and not last, and that's perfectly fine with me. So today I am going to do a bit of a technique with an embossing folder. The embossing folder I'm using is called the Stone and Vine embossing folder. It's new. It's I believe it's in the mini catalog. It may be an online exclusive. I can't keep them straight. And I'm using a sneak peek from the upcoming online exclusives that come out March 3rd, I believe is the date. This one's called Springtime Scenes. I used it yesterday. This time we're going to use just a sentiment and one of the stamps, and then the label die, which I really love the label die from it. Hello, Melinda. Is that West Virginia? Sorry, WV. I'm assuming that's West Virginia and it's warm there. That's nice. Not so warm here. My sister lives in Calgary, Alberta, and there was blizzard kind of conditions yesterday, so that's not good. All right, so this is Springtime Scenes. It's a new bundle that I absolutely love that is coming out in March from the online exclusives. And it's going to be the bundle that I'm using for the upcoming Sweet Springtime Craft Along that I will be advertising a little bit more, sharing more information as we get a little bit closer to the registration going live. But for now, enjoy the sneak peeks. All right, so this is the Springtime Scenes bundle. I love how eclectic the stamp set is. So this nice big leaf, some little leaves, flowers, a stem, grasses, and then look at this adorable ladybug. And some really nice sentiments in mixed font. The dies are amazing. I used the dies yesterday. I used this one and created kind of an Easter feel card to it with the leaves. This is another one that it cuts out. And then there is just around, these are about 3 inches in diameter, these circles, so just a plain frame. And then of course you can cut out the images. There's 2 that make the ladybug, which is fun. All right, and then this label die that is stitched and really a nice shape. That's what I'm using from the bundle today. Okay, so let's put these away for the moment anyway. So this is the Stone and Vine embossing folder. I used it the other day, I think. And yeah, it's very pretty. It's got the leaves, it's got the stone. I don't know if you can see. Hey Marie, welcome. Yeah, Grimshaw. I'm from Alberta originally. East Central Alberta in a little town called Coronation. That's a long ways away from Grimshaw. So this is the stone. It looks more stone-like in the picture, so it's got the stone and then the leaves. I really like the pattern of this, but I think the stone kind of gets lost when you use it as the embossing folder. So we'll see. I may change my mind because I'm using a different technique today. So we're going to color. We're going to add some ink to the embossing folder. So I've got a piece of crumb cake cardstock. You can do this on basic white as well, but I've got a piece of crumb cake cardstock. I've cut this to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I like to make it bigger than my size that I'm going to use because sometimes the edges don't get as colored as you'd like them to be. And now I'm going to take and open up my embossing folder, and I always do this on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. So we're going to take the embossing folder, and I have my crumb cake ink, and I'm just going to take, and I really should take my cardstock away, and I'm just flat rubbing it against my, I don't know if you can see, maybe you can see if you see you definitely have some, some of the darker ones here. And now I'm going to take and put this piece of crumb cake cardstock onto the other side, fold it down, hold that in place, and bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine over and the right plates. So this is a 3D embossing folder. So I've got my platform number 1, I've got my embossing folder, and then I've got plate number 4. So that's the sandwich that you need to use for 3D embossing folder, the ones that are thicker. Take that off there, move this out of the way. Well, that turned out not too badly. So you can actually see the stone. I think it shows a little bit better when you have the color in behind it. So the color that I put on to my embossing folder, hey Lorraine, has been kind of squished down and has made the imprint, the embossed part, darker. I've got a little bit extra on some of it, but it makes the embossing folder pop. And these embossing folders clean really easily. You can run it under a tap, or if you're like me and don't have a sink upstairs where I am, you can just take a baby wipe and you do have to get down into some of the nooks and crannies to clean it out, but your embossing folders will clean up very nicely. It won't stain them. All right, so now I've got my piece. So I actually want to cut this. I'm going to cut this to be 3 3/4 by 5. So trim it down, and I've kind of cut out and I've left a little bit in the corner of that. And then I've got a piece of Mossy Meadow that is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So we're going to score it at 4 1/4. So like I said, you can do this technique with just about any embossing folder. The one embossing folder that you have to think about is if you have an embossing folder that has words, because you can do it in the reverse as well, and you do it on the other side and it will get the top layer of this will be embossed, and then the imprint will not be colored. So the top will be colored and if not the imprint. Where that doesn't work is a few years ago we had an embossing folder called Christmas Tidings, and if you do it the wrong way, the words are backwards, and that doesn't work so well. But it just really makes the imprint on the embossing folder pop and show up so nicely. Kind of looks like a relief, a stone relief. Save your bits that you cut off, because I'm going to use them on the inside of my card. All right, so I went ahead and I'm going to keep this really simple. I'm going to stamp a sentiment. I'm going to put some linen thread. Okay, the trick to find my end there. Oh, there it is. Sometimes the ends of these are hard to find. Oh, no, it's not. Huh. It's a scavenger hunt to try and find the end of my linen thread. And if you're like me and oh, there it is. Oof. Sometimes I get frustrated by it and I can't find it, and I just cut a new end, and then I end up with multiple ends. So I'm just going to take and wrap that around a few times, and I'm going to tie a bow. If you want to make this, I mean, it is a very masculine looking card, and maybe a bow isn't right, but it's a pretty small bow. So, and if you're like me and are struggling with the bow and haven't got enough fingers, take your tweezers, catch that, and then you can tie. Then it holds it. It's like having another set of hands to tie the bow. And I'll deal with cutting this and trimming this and all of that when I get my card all put together. And if you get it too loose, well, that's not too bad. If you get it too loose, you can always kind of pinch it, take it to the back and pinch it, but it's not too bad. So you can either use liquid glue or you can use some Stampin' Seal. If you have your bow tied, it's not likely to come the ribbon pull apart, but I like to use Stampin' Seal when I have ribbon or twine. Just kind of keeps it in place. There we go. All right, so that's my sentiment. Isn't that a pretty label? It's got a little bit of stitching on it, just a nice shape. So I pulled out the sentiment and managed to get Mossy Meadow as I opened up my ink pad. Let's get that off so I don't spread that all over my card. That wouldn't be the first time. All right, so I'm going to stamp, and I'm using the sentiments that says "You brighten my day," and I'm going to stamp this on the right hand side in Mossy Meadow. Close that up, and now I've got Crumb Cake, and I pulled out this little stamp, and I need a piece of scrap paper. Let's take my sketch from last night. I'm just gonna stamp off because there we go. Just, it's a big stamp, a big label for the size of the stamp. So just added some leaves onto it. All right, let's take that down so it doesn't, almost looks like cork. It's kind of cool. It almost has that cork look to it. All right, I said I could fuss with this once I got it on, figure out how big my bow needs to be. And if you want to hold it in place, sometimes a glue dot would come in handy. There's some. I wonder where my roll of glue dots went to. All right, here's another roll. So you can use a glue dot just to hold your little bow in place. Just kind of squish it. And that kind of holds it just in place so it's not there. All right, we need some embellishments. So these are the natural matte dots. They are part of the Delicate Dreams suite in white, Secret Sea, Mossy Meadow, and Crumb Cake. So let's use a couple of the Mossy Meadow ones. Like that. And then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock. So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And so let's use this one. So I'm going to trim, this was a little 1/2-inch strip. Remember I said I cut my cardstock bigger than it needed to be. Cut it off, not score it, would be good. And then we'll use a little bit of liquid glue. I tend to use liquid glue. Well, in the case that on that one I didn't, I used the Stampin' Seal, but in this one I'll use the liquid glue because I want it to get into the nooks and crannies of that little piece. Oof, I have a lot of glue on there. And then that can go on the inside of the card. So I really like this technique. It just really adds a bit of a pop to the embossed image. And like I said, it really has a look of, well, a relief or a bit of like cork, probably because of the colors I've used. Simple card, but I think it's quite effective. So like I said, you can try that technique with just about any embossing folder and see what kind of image you get. And if you want to try the negative, put it on the side of the embossing folder that doesn't have the Stampin' Up! Logo. So that's the side I used, was the one with the Stampin' Up! Logo. But if you try the other side, you will get a completely different look to your cards. And the only caution I will give you is if it's got words, you may want to play with it a little bit to see which way works so that the words aren't backwards. That was a lesson I learned as I was trying to make a card using the Christmas tidings. And so one of the sides will give you backwards words. Anyway, yeah, so you can use it, like I said, for just about any embossing folder, and it's a great technique and another way to use your embossing folders. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now, let's see. I will be live on Saturday. I'm trying to think what's going on. I've got a few things happening next week as I'm getting ready to go to on stage I'm going to Cologne, Germany. I am so excited. Lorraine, you must be excited too. You leave before me. And so I'm getting ready to go. I'm making swap cards and trying to get things organized for when I'm away. And so, but I will be live on Saturday at 11 o'clock. So come join me then. And until then, happy stamping.